All right, family. Welcome to another show of Creative Habits Podcast. We have a very, very, very special guest today. Um, a mentor, a teacher, a second mom. I, words can't express how much this person means to me, and everything she has done for me, and a, a plethora of other people. Man, it's amazing. I am introducing to you Miss Clay, a person who doesn't really need an introduction, but let's get it. Ayesis Clay is an actress, director, a teacher, artist. Her original productions include Standing on the Edge and Sculpting Clay, How I Became Mother of Unicorns. She's toured locations all over the U.S. Isis is an inaugural member of Assistant Director Fellowship for People of Color, Adventure Theater, um, and has directed for schools, theaters, and community organizations pretty much everywhere. Isis, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm really happy to be here, man. Really happy to hear your voice and see your face.
How have you been coping with this crazy quarantine pandemic, staying in the house and all that?
Whew. So in the beginning, this like everyone, I'm sure, it was a blow. And so there was a bit of trauma response that happened. It was crazy. Like I shut all the way down. I was in February, I was kind of on a high. I had just wrapped my first solo show that you spoke about, Sculpting Clay, or How I Became Mother of Unicorns. And then all of a sudden, bam, here we go with COVID. And, I was on that high and the bottom kind of fell out.
Yeah.
So, as a creative, as an artist, it is especially hard because, theaters closed all the way up, film studios closed all the way up. And so there was no work, outside work to be had. And honestly, during that time, during the first 2-3 months, I don't even know if I would have had the brain width, the emotional,
Mm.
store to kind of do anything anyway. So yeah, but recently, and it's probably been within the next last month or so, I've been getting my mojo back.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah, and trying to, get projects that were on the back burner, getting them going again.
So has it I guess hurt your creativity or enhanced it? Have you take the time out to maybe write or think of some new concepts to achieve or pursue?
Great question. So, um, it definitely hurted in the beginning because, like I said, I just shut all the way down as a trauma response almost.
Mm,
No, not almost as a trauma response. Um, but again, recently it's been like a spark, and I can't really tell. Well, you know what? I can tell when it happened.
mm,
Um, it was right when the unrest in DC was at its peak.
mm, mm,
And I felt like I was in the bed with covers over my head for months. And I was looking at the news, and one of my former students hit me on the phone, and he was like, "I just want to let you know I'm okay. I was arrested last night, but I'm
wow.
out.
Wow.
But I'm out." And I just needed to kind of hear your voice. I just needed to kind of connect and just let you know that I'm okay. Of course, I had no idea this was going on. But when he hit me with that, I realized that my former students, a lot of them were on the front lines, and
Mm,
I couldn't bury my head in the sand anymore. I could not ignore the world anymore.
yeah.
And so that's when I started really saying, nah, I got to get back in the game. I have to show up because I think that's half the battle right there is just showing up.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and it just sparked something. Before all of this, like I said, my solo show existed as a solo show, um, but in this and in the COVID talks in schools and the craziness that's going on as far as, trying to rush people back into schools, let me be clear, rush teachers and students
Yeah.
back into schools. Um, I started thinking, and really thinking about my journey. And there's a lot of trauma in schools, and it's not just the students.
Yeah.
A lot of times we focus on them. And so I started thinking about creating something specifically for teachers, um, specifically to address their secondary traumatic stress
Mm.
and, their compassion fatigue. And so that's what I'm working on now. Um,
Okay.
yeah, developing a course. So I've kind of had to put my businesswoman hat on, um, along with my creative hat.
Mm.
That's I'm in the thick of that now because there's so much that needs to be done. And I was telling my husband the other day that I feel like my ministry is connection,
Yeah.
is being able to connect with people, not just students, but with people. And so, yeah, I kind of needed to get up out the bed with the covers covering my head and actually
Mm.
get to work.
It's definitely extremely an extremely sad circumstances for teachers, especially. I know a few who had to retire early because of funds have, I guess, been cut, or people with like pre-existing health conditions
Mhm.
had to, I guess, quit their jobs basically because you don't know what's going to happen once like everyone goes back to school. So it's definitely traumatic and.
Yeah. And not even that. It's like, these people dedicated their lives to children,
Hmm. Hmm.
and to be forced out in the ways that that you're talking about, again, in and of itself is traumatic. So
Yeah.
it's not just, it's the loss of my livelihood, but it's also the loss of that connection,
Mm.
that they worked so hard to foster in a lot of cases. Um, and those who still stay, dealing with the trauma that their students are feeling in
Mm.
this, the unknowing, this huge, vast pit of unknowing right now, is what I call it.
Yeah.
No one knows anything. We're just kind of
Yeah.
making it up on the fly as we go because this is unprecedented, in our time. So with the social unrest, with the atrocities that continue to happen against Black and brown people,
Yeah.
it compounded with this deadly pandemic.
Mm.
Teachers,
And lack of leadership in political offices.
come on
That's
now.
it's
Come on.
it's just a
Come on.
lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of layers to this cake right now.
Gotta say it. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so the people that we lean on, we have to kind of understand that they kind of need some support too.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
kind of need some support. And so, how can I use my art? How can I use my voice, my experiences to kind of help someone else, to kind of
Yeah.
help?
I mean, the only upside to the situation that I foresee is that through trauma, there's always really good art for the voiceless, and
Indeed.
I'm happy to see how people translate their surroundings into art and how it will influence future generations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. This is a time of great unrest, but it's also a time of great creativity,
Yeah, absolutely.
and opportunity for
Yeah.
that.
Let's get on a lighter note. Tell us
Okay.
tell us a little bit more about your background. Like, how was ISIS created?
How was Isis created?
Yeah,
She, she was birthed from the head of knowledge. So I'm from North Carolina.
yeah.
I'm a country girl, and I have no problems saying that. I love being a country girl.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was growing up, I was always the weirdo.
Mm, mm,
So like other people had ambitions to do I don't know, just other things. But I always had this weird and wacky sense of style, weird and wacky, thoughts.
Mm.
And so I always kind of felt like a little bit of an outsider, a little bit. And so I went to college. I started at Howard University,
Nice. HU.
HU, Um, and I was there for 1 year, one
Mm.
year when the funds ran out.
Yeah.
So I transferred to North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Eagle Pride. And I majored in theater. Well, actually, I majored in theater at Howard and then, transferred to Central.
Mm.
And in the process of going through college, um, Isis was kind of born in that. However,
Mm.
I fell in love.
Okay.
Yes, yes, love will get you. I fell in love and I got married
Mm.
and I had a baby.
Mm.
Um, with my husband also came my bonus daughter. And
Mm.
so it was kind of like add Isis and stir.
Mm.
And when you have a family, you got to make sure that you can provide for that family.
Absolutely. I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Yes. And a new actress. We had just moved to the DMV area, to the
Mm.
Maryland, and I had no connections. I wasn't really getting any gigs, making any money, so I kind of fell bass backwards, as they say,
Mm.
into education, as a teacher for the Maryland Department of Juvenile Justice, teaching
Oh,
theater.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
never knew that.
you didn't?
No, no, I never knew that.
Yeah, I taught with DJJ for uh, 3, 4 years.
Mm.
It's funny story. My husband, I'm telling you all my business, but my husband and I both went for the same job, and they liked us both, so they created a position for me,
Nice.
to teach drama uh, to the students that were at Cheltenham and Waxter facilities, and I loved it. I loved it, and then I hated it,
Mm.
and I hated it because it's not set up for rehabilitation, and I hate that word with this, but it's not set up to help.
Yeah.
The system is not set up to help. And it was very clear. I loved the young people that I got to work with, but I hated that I saw them. It was like a cycle,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
cycle. They kept coming back, kept coming back. Um, and I realized that I really wasn't able to help the way I wanted to. And honestly, my heart was breaking.
Yeah.
So I went to public school
Mm.
and taught theater there, until that got a lot,
Mm.
because while it wasn't, my young people, um, in DJJ, it was a lot of other things. And so I left the classroom after 15 years.
Ooh.
And yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was actually my son that kind of hit me up, and he was like, okay, yeah, you been teaching, but we're out of the house now. So you going to use this as an excuse
Right.
to
Right.
continue to teach? What you going to do? So yeah, I went out and did act. I've been doing acting and directing full time for the last 2.5 years. So going on 3 years now. So yeah.
So what lured you to acting in the first place? Was it like something you always wanted to do as a young kid, or did you have any like favorite influences in theater or movies or anything like that?
Yeah, from it was one of those things that it was always in me,
Mm.
literally always in me. I can't ever think of a time when I didn't want to be an actress. Then now there was a time when I was like, maybe I'll be a veterinarian,
Hmm.
but the thought was I'll be a veterinarian who acts, and um, that's always been there. Now I will tell you, the only person that I have ever fangirled on is Felicia Rashad. She
Yeah.
is my,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. I saw her in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof on Broadway, and we went to the stage door
Mm,
You would have thought, I don't know what, I like lost all of me, all manner of speech.
mm.
I know she looked at me like, who is this crazy woman? But there's something, her grace, her talent, it's just, it has always called to me.
I mean, I think, well, my first introduction to Miss Felicia Rashad was the Cosby Show,
Yes.
and you could really tell that she had a stage presence
Mm-hmm.
during the show, the way she carried herself, and her acting was phenomenal, and it still is till this day.
Indeed, indeed. She's transcended into some directing, and she's kind of spread wings over the years. And
Hmm.
she's just, I'm just a fangirl. I'm a fangirl. But there's so many great artists out there. Paige Hernandez is one of my, I don't know, I don't want to call her a mentor. She's
Mm.
definitely a friend, but I've been like kind of patterning things after her. She's a multi hyphenate artist.
Mm.
She's an actress and a director and a playwright in DC. She actually gave me my first professional gig as a stage manager.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, touring stage manager for her one woman show, Page in Full.
Mm.
And we traveled all around the country, and she really inspired me to create my own work, and showed me that it was possible
Mm.
to create your own work and to make a living as a creative, as an actress, as a multi hyphenate creative. And so yeah, I definitely lean heavily on her influences, as do a lot of, I'm finding a lot of people in the DC region. They're like, oh yes, Paige is amazing, because she is.
Do you find that it's harder to I guess to connect to other artists in this area rather than like New York or California?
Oh no, that's one thing I love about the DC area. Um, every audition that I go to,
Mm.
mm, most auditions that I go to, and I'll explain why that I put that caveat there. It almost feels like a family reunion.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, I don't get that feel of, I want you to stay over there because we're going for the same role. A
Hmm.
lot of times it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long. I saw you in X, Y, and Z, and you were awesome. And oh my man, we gotta get together. So there, especially with Black artists in DC, the Black, actors, the Black directors, the Black creatives in DC, I feel like there's this sense of camaraderie
Yeah.
that you don't see. When I audition in New York, when I audition in Philly, I don't really see that amongst the
It's
talent.
like each person for their own, like I gotta get it. It's very competition based.
Yeah, it feels like that to me, but not in DC. And I think that's why I've stayed so long, and why it's so hard to leave, is because the people in DC are, there's a heart there,
Mm.
hard to leave.
That's
Yeah.
great. How do you decide which of your creative ideas are worth pursuing?
Hmm. That's a great question. And it's a question that I don't quite know how to answer, because I am the type that I put everything on the table
Mm.
and I try to work on things at the same time, which is not good at all. I have, at any given time, I have like 12 different tabs open on my computer, and I'm like doing all these things. Now, I will say, in the process of writing and then rehearsing um, the solo show, Sculpting Clay,
Mm.
um, I put everything to the side, because I knew that this was a story that, one, was near and dear to my heart. It started out as a love letter to my students
Mm.
that kind of morphed into something else. But I felt like it needed all of me, because I had put so much time into creating Mrs. Clay in the
Yeah.
classroom,
Yeah.
that it kind of she needed, I don't want to say closure because I'm still Mrs. Clay to a lot of people,
Yeah.
but she needed kind of that. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but other than that, it's really a thing where my mind is always going, and I'm always like jotting down. If I'm working on this project, a thought will come, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm jotting down about this other project. Um, so it's
So how long does it usually take? Well, it's kind of a loaded question. How long does it usually take for you to finish a project, and are you like satisfied when it's all and done? Like after it's written, after you pursued it on stage, like do you feel a sigh of relief after it's done?
Yeah, great question. So I started writing Sculpting Clay, or How I Became Mother of Unicorns, in the summer that I left the classroom. So it's
Mm,
2018. Yeah, 2 years. 2018.
mm,
And I did a reading for it in August. So I started writing it in June. I did a reading at the Kennedy Center of it in August. And then I got this amazing opportunity to workshop it in New York
nice.
in summer. And so it was a thing where I was working on it for almost a year and a half before it actually was put on its feet for
Mm,
real at the Atlas Performing Arts Center in DC in February. So when I finished it, when I did it, there was a sense of, I don't want to say relief, it was a sense of pride that
nice.
I was able to kind of take it from a kernel of an idea and then stage it. But it was also a sense of there was love there because I looked back and saw all the people who really poured into the project and who really believed in the project,
Mm,
because it was not, a one woman show. One woman wrote it and one woman performed it, but there's so many people who poured their talents and poured their thoughts into making it happen. So when I took my curtain call, my bow, there was this overwhelming feel of feeling of love,
mm.
of being loved, of loving this journey, of loving who I had become because of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see it in my head, becoming very emotional. I know
Very.
when things hit you deeply, it definitely hits. From your experience, what would you have? Do you have any advice for anyone who's trying to get where you are today?
Absolutely. Trust your instincts. Um, a lot of people think that it needs to happen now.
Mm,
You know, there's a sense of urgency that I got to get it now. I have to do it now. I have to, um, and I felt that early on. But the piece that I'm most proud of, that the two pieces that I'm most proud of, was born from my I don't know, sidetrack. So,
mm,
I was going to be an actress. I was going to be an actress. It's going to be amazing. And that's all I wanted to do. But I ended up having to take this side road that I thought was leading me just away from my dreams.
yeah, yeah,
And instead, what it did was is enriched it,
mm,
and it created art that never would have gotten birthed
right,
had I, taken another path. And so I always say that although the path is crooked, it's perfect.
yeah, yeah,
And so have faith in that path. Um, don't let anyone deter you from from what in your heart. Like I said, I can never think of a time when I didn't want to be an actress, didn't want to be in the arts, didn't want to direct. And when you have that in your heart, that's kind of, in my opinion, that's kind of like the voice of God saying that's your purpose. That's what you should be doing. Um, but don't be afraid to kind of take that path of that may seem like it's taking you away, because you never know where it's gonna lead you.
absolutely. What they say is not the destination, but the path you take. You know, I mean, God give us these different paths for a reason. You know, it helps mold us and become better people. You know, so I really appreciate why you said that. What do you consider your greatest achievement is as of yet?
So I'm an actress, I'm a director, but my greatest achievement has been my children.
Yes.
Um, I have two children, two, oh my gosh, adult children that still make me feel like, oh, whoa, whoa, these are grown tail people. But yeah, it's them. They've been my greatest achievement. But I also feel like my legacy. When I left the classroom, there was a bit of sadness
Mm,
because I felt like I was leaving my legacy behind. And then through conversations with my therapist and through conversations with different people, I realized that my legacy is all the people that I've taught
yeah.
and
Yeah.
all the lives that I've touched. I've been blessed to touch. And so yeah, there's a bit of that too. You know, my greatest achievement will always be my two children, and Cameron and Bria. Um, but my legacy, I think, are my legacy lies in you. My legacy
Oh.
lies in
Oh man.
oh my gosh, you big baby, don't cry. But no, seriously, I honestly believe that, and I look at all of your lives, and I'm just so proud and so feel so blessed that I was able to have just a small chapter in your lives.
um, I believe this is just for me. I truly believe that um every student that you taught, um, even though they were naturally and structurally great already, it's like you put a little bit of like seasoning on them just to like make them blossom bloom even more, you know, whether it's like Jamal, Kashana, Stephanie, especially Clayton, he's definitely doing this
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's like your influence and your teachings and the structure that you had in the classroom has led to like their career, and it's amazing.
I I will accept that. Thank you. I receive that. However, it's not just the ones who uh, went off to become amazing actors and
Yeah.
directors and creatives. You know, there's so many students who um, didn't take the arts path,
Yeah.
and I hear back from them, and it was really about the safe space that was
Absolutely.
provided. You know, the teaching. Yes, thank you, thank you. But like I said before, I feel like my ministry is really in connecting and
Mm,
connection. And I just wanted to be the teacher that I needed.
yeah.
You know, someone who listened, who didn't judge, who allowed young people to just bloom in their own time.
Mm.
Um, within parameters, because you know the clay brow is a thing. I've been told, you know, the
I
look
remember that. I remember
is the
that.
thing, but you know, of just creating that space of love, of understanding, and
Mm.
because that's the best place to grow.
I mean, it definitely was. It felt like a community, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that we can, like a little tribe that helped us feel safe from the noise outside of, you know, VPA or whatever. And
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed myself, and you weren't afraid to let us know when we were doing when we were doing what we were supposed to do. You know, and that's why it was like, and we saw you pretty much every day of this the school week. You know, you were like a second mom for real to
Yeah.
me. You know,
Yeah.
so I just want to let you know that if I don't say it 100 times, I definitely appreciate you
Thank
for
you.
that. Um, are you Are you creatively satisfied?
Mm, am I creatively satisfied? I'm going to answer that in a no,
Mm,
because it's a double-edged sword. Yes, I feel like I'm in a place where I can explore all of those things that I've always wanted to explore creatively.
hmm
Um, but that satisfaction to me sometimes lulls me into not doing, if that
hmm
makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, that this false sense of just kind of like, oh, well, I'll just chill. I don't have to do whatever. And I
hmm
don't ever want to be in a place of satisfaction because it just, you know, I always want more. I always want to be better. I always want to do better. I always want to help more. Um, and so because of that, I feel like there's so much more work to be done.
hmm
Um, so yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I'm happy where I am creatively. Am I satisfied with where I am? You know, nah, because there's more. There's more to
Absolutely.
do. There's more to write. There's more to, you know, to direct. There's more to more shows and film and things to act in. So yeah.
If anyone, just a random question, if anyone could play you in a movie, who would you like to be in that role?
Oh, that's a great question. So like the story of like my life or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
me now. Okay. So then it would probably be three people.
Okay.
It would probably be three people. Um, so young me, and this is you're gonna expose me here because I am not very good with names.
Okay.
So um the young lady, she plays on Blackish. She's
Oh,
like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
the youngest daughter. The
Oh, the
youngest
youngest one? Oh,
the
okay. Yeah, yeah,
youngest
yeah.
daughter.
With the glasses.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking
I was a weirdo. And I think that she could really embody that, not because that's who she is, but I've seen some of her work and I'm like, she can really like bring home the weirdness of it.
about.
I'd love one of my students to play like middle me. And
Mm,
I don't know who that would be. You know, would it be, oh my God, I am not, you not gonna love me
mm.
into choosing one of them.
No, go
What
ahead,
am
go
I
ahead. It's just
supposed
between you and me. Just me, you and
Just
me.
between the two of us?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just between
nah.
the
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Um, and then, you know, the future me or the me now, uh, I think, you know, oh, I take that back. Taraji P. Henson would make a real good Mrs. Clay.
two. Oh, really?
I think she could do a mean Clay Brow. I think
Yeah,
she could. I think she
I
could pull
agree.
that off. Um, as far as me now, I don't know. My first go to would be, even though she's older than I am, but Alicia Rashad, because she can act whatever. But that's the future me. She played the future me.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I think that would be it. I can't think of that young lady's name, and that's gonna bother me.
I'll have to. I don't have my phone handy, but I will definitely, Google it or whatever. But I'm pretty sure it will be an awesome, awesome, awesome film to watch.
Marseille, that's her name. Marseille
My
Mark.
side. Okay, okay, okay.
Marseille
Yeah,
Mark. Yeah, I
yeah,
had
yeah.
to look it up because there was no way I was gonna be like throw her name out her and not have her name.
I think she's doing really well. She has her own production company and everything.
Driven.
Man, I'm so
Driven.
proud of like black creativity right now in
Ooh,
2020. It's
yes.
getting crazy.
Yes. It's always been crazy. I feel like it's not this sudden surge of black excellence and black art. I feel like because of the way the world is right now,
Mm,
it's finally starting to get the shine that it always deserved.
mm,
We've always
mm.
been dope, always.
Yeah.
But the gatekeepers of Hollywood and the gatekeepers of Broadway and the stage, we really weren't able to get our stories in the way they deserved to
I
be.
mean, and it's definitely a outdated mentality gatekeepers with like streaming services, and you could buy a professional camera for Walmart and Target, and like, you know, get you a computer and you could write a script and make your own movie. So
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's I'm loving it. The last couple of years of teaching, the last couple of cohorts, excuse me, of students saw a surge of that, of them
mm,
making their own content, you know, and putting it on Instagram and putting it on what was it before? Well, putting it on Twitter,
hmm
um, and different social media outlets. And so I was so proud. I was like, yes, don't wait. And so the last like 5 years of my teaching, I was like, you don't have to wait for anybody.
yeah,
Matter of fact, don't wait for anybody to give you permission to do your art form.
right.
You had everything you need right inside of you.
Look at Issa Rae. She's on HBO with her
Thank
own
you.
content. Yeah. And
Thank you.
started on
On a
YouTube.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you had any mentors along your journey?
Yeah, sure. Like I mentioned, Paige Hernandez.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Early on, Linda Dakins Brock. She was one of my professors at Central, and uh, she was the one that broke me down to build me up.
Mm,
You know, broke a lot of habits, bad habits, um, and then picked me up off the floor and built me back up. A lot of people don't like that method, but she was the one, and she was awesome in that.
mm,
Um, yeah, uh, Goldie Patrick. And so there are people who are like even like younger than me that I still consider mentors. Goldie Patrick,
mm,
she ran a theater company, Fresh Inc. That was for young Black girls,
mm.
and watching her create this space for for these young Black girls. She was actually the one that I did the reading through, the first reading of my solo show at the Kennedy Center. She was the
Okay.
one that made space for me. She was like, "You coming out of the classroom? Cool. What do you need?"
Mm,
She's been such a great example of how community should support, and you know, I want to model that after her. Um, Yeah, Lady Dana Didi. Oh my gosh, she's my spiritual, you know. I follow her. She's amazing, amazing. If you haven't followed her on Instagram or Facebook, look her up. Lady Dana Didi, and yeah. So
um, do you feel a responsibility to create something bigger than yourself?
absolutely, absolutely. I feel like that is the. I feel like that's the purpose of art. You know, when we just create art just for us, it
Hmm.
becomes very self-indulgent,
Mm,
and it just it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't go anywhere. Um, Art should be teaching. Art should be showing. You know, one of the first things that I taught y'all, you know, from the acting playbook was, you know, holding that mirror up to
mm,
life, you know, and reflecting itself back, um, so that we can learn um, about ourselves. And so absolutely, it must be bigger than me. It must be bigger than me. And when it's not, then it's not done.
yeah.
It's not done. You know, of course, it starts with you. You have the idea, especially if you're writing something. You know, it's born out of your mind.
Mm,
But how is it serving? How is it serving people? How is it serving your community? How is it serving the world? What is
mm,
it saying? If it's not saying anything, then it's trash to me.
mm. What's the last thing that made you proud of your accomplishments?
The last thing that made me proud of my accomplishments. Oh wow. You know, it's social media, bless its little heart, you know, allows me to stay in contact with a lot of former students.
Hmm.
And on random days, like a random Tuesday, a random day when I'm just like not my best,
Yeah.
it never fails that a former student will hit me up and will say, hey, thanks. Or, hey, I just left this class and yeah, I knew everything they were talking about. Nobody else did, but I knew. Thank
Yeah.
you. Or, just, hey, I'm having a tough day. Can you pray with me?
Yeah.
And it reminds me that those teaching years weren't in vain,
Mm.
and they weren't a derailment. They were very necessary and very important. And so it's, I don't know if it, I say that because that happened on, what's today? Today's Wednesday. No, today's Tuesday. It happened on Sunday. I got one of those, and it kind of brought me to tears because I'm so proud of the artistic journey, the journey period that's been taken. Um, as far as the big artistic thing that I was most proud of, February,
Yeah.
when I was able to take it from a seed of an idea to a fully staged production with an audience that stood on its feet
Mm.
afterwards, that it resonated with. I looked out in the audience and there were people like crying. They
Yeah.
were sobbing. And I'm like, oh my, okay, first of all, I didn't mean to make it cry, but thank you because it touched you. Something in my story touched you. And like the last question, if it doesn't touch someone else, if it doesn't teach someone else, then it's trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was most proud of that creatively.
I think I just have two more questions to ask you. Is there anything that you're still learning? Like anything new about the process?
Always, always. Um, you always have to you have to continuously study in order to be
Mm.
the creative. The learning never stops. Um, but like I was saying before, I'm transitioning a little bit because of how COVID has kind of positioned the world. Um, so I'm learning a lot about being a legit businesswoman
Mm.
and learning the ins and outs of social media marketing and the ins and outs of creating courses. Even though I've written curriculum for public school, creating courses that you sell
Yeah.
online. Um, you know the ins and outs of actually making that tech wise. So I'm always learning, always learning.
I feel that a lot more people would choose to do homeschooling now because they're not really sure what's going on with the future, if we'll ever get a vaccine or if
Mm-hmm.
something else crazy happens. So I believe that creating a business in homeschooling will be very key for like entrepreneurial spirits.
Mm. Yeah, I was just on a call because Zoom, of course, is life now.
Yeah.
Ugh. Um, I was just on a call, and a couple of the women, it was a business call. They're doing that. They're creating things for homeschool. Um, my my business, what I'm doing now, is really focused more on educators, on
Mm.
teachers, and creating that support system for them. And honestly, it very well may be, for parents as well who find themselves as teachers in a homeschool situation. Um, but really it's for educators now that are going through so much, and shoring them up and making sure that they are able to take care of themselves so that they can show up as their best self
Mm.
every
Um,
day.
quick question. How do you think students doing how do you think homeschooling for students, especially if they're like the only child, how do you think that will affect the social interaction with people of the future? Especially because we're all on our phones, everything we do is through social media, and we a lot of us, especially me being the only child, needed social interaction outside of the home. How do you think that's going to affect future people or future kids?
Yo, that's a big concern. My prayer is that we don't stay in this space much longer.
Hmm.
That we're able to get a handle on this thing so that we can, go back and and be social with people, because that's a big thing. If all your connection with someone is through the screen, through a
Hmm.
Zoom, you can have as many, group chats with friends as you, but it's still not the same. Still doesn't do the job of one-on-one connection, and being able to touch someone and
The
being able to
energy.
play tag and energy,
Mm.
and it just doesn't take the place of that. So if we are in this space much longer, I think it's going to have a huge impact. Now, I am an optimist in a lot of ways, because I'm like, okay, if we get it within the next 8 months, we're able to get it together, then it's a blip in their lives. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where we can kind of try to make up for it in 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 socialization afterwards. But yeah, man, that's a big thing. That's a big deal, and I don't have the answers. I wish I did.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary topic, especially for parents who have to go to work, essential workers and whatnot, and may not have the means to pay for childcare and all that. So, I don't know. It's a sticky topic. One last question. How can we learn more about your projects in the future?
Oh, cool. So I have two websites. One is my acting and directing website, and it's www.ayesisclay.com,
Mm,
Ayesis clay.com. The other one is the website for my business, and it's called sculptedclayproductions.com. Just
mm,
spelled all the way out, SCULPTED, Sculpted Clay Productions. So depending on the realm, you can always find me on social media. All of my social media is just Isis, Ayesis. Um, and I've been hanging out a lot more in Instagram these days, but I also kind of stay active in Facebook. Twitter, eh,
yeah,
maybe you'll catch me there.
I'm not much of a Twitter guy, but Instagram, you'll catch me all day long.
Right.
Yeah.
Same.
Mm. But I just want to thank you once again for joining us, man. Much appreciated. You've had a great impact on my life and many others, and just from the bottom of my heart, man, this is nothing but love from this end, man. Nothing but love.
Awesome. Thank you. And nothing but love coming from this end, man. You know
Yeah.
that. Nothing but love. You're a part of my unicorn tribe.
Hey, I'm a unicorn. I'm a black unicorn.
Yeah, yes. This is my logo for my business.
That's
Um,
sweet.
so yeah, yeah. So you're part of my tribe.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But just thank you, and I'll definitely keep in contact and keep you posted on anything of the future and whatever's going on.
Please do. Please do.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.